Okay, welcome back. So this is biology question 26 from IMAT 2023 past paper. So I will be answering this question. So it says a fragment of double-stranded DNA molecule contains 12 phosphates and 2 adenines. Given this information, what is the total number of purine bases, deoxyribose sugars, and hydrogen bonds respectively present in the described DNA molecule? So before we go through these options, we must recall the basic definition of DNA and most importantly the structures that makes up the DNA molecule, the components of DNA molecule. Okay, so basically DNA molecule is a very common term. So we know DNA molecule is basically a molecule that carries genetic information that makes up the organism. So it encodes for protein, so it undergoes central dogma to produce that protein and the overall building structure of the organism. Okay, so it basically carries the genetic information. And the most important thing we must know for this question is the DNA structure. Okay, so the main components that makes up the DNA molecule. Okay, so first of all, the first most important part is the four nitrogenous bases. Nitrogenous bases. Okay, so the four nitrogenous bases that we have is the adenine, thymine, guanine, and cytosine. And nitrogenous bases are divided into two divisions. Okay, so the first division is purines, and the second one is pyrimidine. Okay, pyrimidine. So these are the two divisions of the nitrogenous bases. So purine, the bases. So what's a purine and pyrimidine? The major difference is that purine are composed of two ring structure that are fused together, but pyrimidine has only one ring structure. Okay, so both are nitrogenous ring structure. Okay, but they differ in the number of nitrogen carbons and the overall ring structure. Okay, so the purine has two ring structure, and those bases include adenine and guanine, and the pyrimidine is cytosine and thymine. Okay, so this is the two divisions of the four nitrogenous bases, and the second structure that makes up DNA molecule is a phosphate. Okay, phosphate. Okay, so the one with the formula that that is used to be PO4 3 minus. Okay, so this is the phosphate. Okay, and another one that we have is deoxyribose sugar. Okay, deoxyribose sugar. So this is basically a pentose sugar. So, and the most important part about these two is that these two combined make the backbone structure of a DNA. Okay, so these together make the backbone structure of the DNA, and the inner structures are the nitrogenous bases, the adenine, thymine, guanine, and cytosine, the one that are just a code, the one that is actually being read and they're coded into the amino acids. And this structure behind supports the overall structure of the DNA, which is the most important parts. Okay, so these are the three most important fundamental molecules that makes up the DNA molecule. Okay, so now that we are aware about the structure of the DNA, so I'm going to show a very quick diagram about the DNA, the most basic diagram you must know. Okay, so this is the basic diagram of a DNA molecule, which I'm showing you here. Okay, so this is the the one the that is a deoxyribose sugar. Okay, so I'm going to mention as DR as a short form, deoxyribose sugar, and this one is the phosphate groups. I'm going to mention as P, and these ones are the bases. So let's say this could be adenine, or it could be, so I can say this one is a adenine, this is a thymine, this is cytosine, this is guanine. Okay, so it could be any, but what matters the most is the base pairing. So adenine and thymine base pairs each other. So they base pair with two hydrogens. Okay, around two hydrogen bonds, and the guanine and cytosine they base pair around three hydrogen bonds with three hydrogen bonds. Okay, so what's a hydrogen bond again? So it's basically intermolecular forces that arises if hydrogen atom is bonded to highly electronegative atom, which could be nitrogen, oxygen, and a fluorine. Okay, so these are three main electronegative atoms. So if they're bonded to hydrogen, so the hydrogen can form hydrogen bonds. Okay, so that's the basic definition of hydrogen bond. So they're weak intermolecular forces, but it is considered strong compared to other the weak interactions, which are London forces and dipole forces. Okay, so for this question, we just have to focus about the structure of DNA. Okay, so and what I'm showing you here is also the backbone of the DNA. So this part, the ribose and phosphate, is the backbone of DNA. And the numbers that you're seeing here, the 5 and the comma over here, 3 and comma, these are the prime numbers. So 5 prime and 3 prime. So it's always in this direction, 5 prime to 3 prime direction, and then 5 prime to 3 prime direction. Okay, so this is important. So 5 prime is basically at the place where you see the free phosphate groups hanging outside the ribosome, the sorry, deoxyribose sugar. And the 3 prime is where you do not find the free phosphate group, but in the place of phosphate group, you just see a hydroxyl group that is from the deoxyribose sugar. Okay, so that's the difference in how you can analyze which part of the DNA molecule structure is a 5 prime or 3 prime. Okay, so this is the basic structure about the DNA molecule, and you must know that DNA molecule are double helix. They're highly twisted, but this is the untwisted part to show you the structure of DNA. Okay, so this is the basic diagram of DNA. So now let's get back to the actual question. Now we are aware of the basic structure of DNA molecule. Okay, so now what we are given with is that we are given with 12 phosphates and 2 adenines. Okay, so the most important thing I also must mention is that the number of ribose sugars, the deoxyribose sugar. Okay, so the total number of uh, deoxyribose sugar. Okay, so the number of deoxyribose sugar that we are given with is equal to the number of bases. Okay, so now let's, as we can see here clearly in the diagram, we are given with four. Uh, in the diagram, it mentions that shows over here that there are four deoxyribose sugars. So if there are four deoxyribose sugar, then there's a four nitrogenous bases total. So that's why the total number of deoxyribose sugar is equal to total number of bases. And also at the same time, total number of deoxyribose sugar is equal to total number of phosphate groups. Phosphate groups. So as you can see over here, so this is the phosphate group 1, 2, 1, 2 along with the counting of the ribose, deoxyribose sugar. Okay, so we have 3, 4, and then over here it's also 3, 4, and then also here 1, 2, 3, 4. So number of deoxyribose sugar is equal to number of bases and it's equal to number of phosphate groups. So this thing is must be clear over here. So since we're given with 12 phosphates, so this means uh, 12 phosphates means 12 phosphates, then there must be 12 total bases, total bases, the nitrogenous bases, and there must be 12, a total of 12 phosphate group. Okay, so this is one thing that must be clear. Oh, sorry. Oh my God. Okay, so 12 phosphate, 12 total bases, and 12 deoxyribose sugar. Okay, so this is one rule that you must be very, very well versed with it, or else you may not be able to solve this question. Okay, so now moving on forward. So since we have 12 phosphate, 12 total nitrogenous bases, and 12 deoxyribose sugar. So from this, what we can make out is that, and also that we are given with two adenines. So we are given with the first nitrogenous bases that were mentioned with is a 2-adenine. And as I mentioned in the diagram, that adenine base pairs with a thymine. So meaning if there are two adenines, then there is two thymine. So similarly, the number of guanines will be equal to number of cytosine. But since we're not given with that information, then we must find out the number of guanine and cytosine. So since we know that if the number of adenine is equal to the number of thymine, so we can form this an equation 2x. So adenine and thymine combined, I'm going to write this as x. Okay, sorry. So not actually x. So basically going to write this as 2. There are two adenines. So 2 thymine. So I'm going to double it and plus 2x. So this 2x is actually of the number of guanine and number of cytosine. Okay, so this base pairs with the cytosine with the 3 hydrogen bonds. So we're not sure about the number of guanine and cytosine yet. So we can consider this number of uh, we can number this as x. Okay, so we're not sure about the number of guanine and cytosine. Okay, so we formed this equation, and we know the total bases is 12 bases. Okay, 12 nitrogenous bases. Now we can uh, solve this equation. So we divide to both sides. Okay, so we're just left with 2 plus x equals 6. So this gives us 4. So this means that there are 4 guanine and so there are 4 cytosine. Okay, so this symbol over here is 3 hydrogen bond. It's not equivalent symbol. Okay, so keep in mind and that. So there are 4 guanine and 4 cytosine. So now we have gotten this information. And now we also must determine the total number of hydrogen bonds. Okay, so now that entirely depends on the number of different bases. Okay, so we know we have two adenine that base pairs with two thymine with two hydrogen bonds, and four guanine base pairs with four cytosine with three hydrogen bonds. Okay, so this means the total hydrogen bonds is equal to it's equal to 2 times 2 because there are two hydrogen bonds with the adenine and thymine plus 4 times 3 since there are 4 guanine that base pairs with 4 cytosine with the 3 hydrogen bonds. Okay, so now this will give total of 16 hydrogen bonds. Okay, so there are 16 hydrogen bonds. Okay, so now moving on forward. So we also must identify which one is a purine and which one is a pyrimidine. So as I've mentioned before, the purines are adenine and guanine, since they have a two ring structure, and the pyrimidine are cytosine and thymine. Okay, so the question explicitly asks for the number of purine bases. So we know that the purine bases is the adenine. So this is two. So how many adenines we have? The total number of purine. Okay, total number of purine we have two adenine total, as mentioned from the question. And the guanine, there are four guanine bases. Okay, so now if we add them together, we get six total purines. Okay, so now we can finalize the from our working. So purine, deoxyribose sugar, and the hydrogen bonds. Okay, so we have total six purines, 12 deoxyribose sugars, and 16 hydrogen bonds. So this is the number of these components of DNA molecule. So hence the correct option is option A. Okay, so that's how we solve this question. Thank you guys for watching my video. I hope you find this video helpful. Please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you guys. Bye.